Hi, thanks for tuning into this session on extended reality, or XR. We hope that you've had a great event with us so far. You've heard many of our leaders talk about the rate of innovation and how digital transformation has been occurring through IoT. I'd like to take a moment to consider something simple yet totally game changing: the evolution of how we've presented and visualized data. This daily life experience has evolved from drawing charts and graphs on easels to overhead projectors to digital PowerPoint presentations to now large touchscreen monitors. At each phase, we're able to communicate insights faster and more effectively. Now, fast forward several decades from easels and overhead projectors to sophisticated interactive visualizations drawing on real time data sets, XR. By presenting data inside a 3D canvas which wraps around the user, we can interact with the data in a way that's far more natural, touching holographic objects with our hands, moving around images to view them from a clearer perspective. Truly exciting. And to highlight these innovations, we've invited a couple global partners to this session who are investing in XR technology. To start, let's hear from apoQlar.
So my name is Andreas Fessler. I'm located here in Hamburg, Germany, here in the north. My position is Manager of Strategic Initiatives here with apoQlar, and ultimately I'm supporting our founding team and the management team on scaling the business in multiple geographies. So think of market entry, corporate strategy, kind of touching all facets of the value chain.
Yeah, thanks for being on this with us, and very excited about apoQlar and our relationship. Can you describe a little bit about apoQlar's worldview on extended reality?
Yeah, definitely. So XR brought about, a tremendous shift overall in the technological landscape, right? I mean, we are no longer bound to physical objects in a physical world, and especially with mixed reality, we're now able to leverage these digital objects and even services kind of on top of the real world for equal or greater utility, and oftentimes at a fraction of the cost. So, the world is kind of entering into this third wave of what we like to call technological interaction. And a good way to kind of think about it is, the first major leap in innovation occurred with the personal computer, where people were able to interact with technology with, let's just call it typing. Kind of the next major innovation came about with the smartphone, where all of a sudden you had a screen and the fingers were able to touch, just a display, and you're able to interact with the technology and use a camera to then also interact with other people. Think of FaceTime. And then this next major macro shift that's occurring is where people are really able to interact with each other and technology just as virtual avatars or as virtual holograms sitting in the same room. So it's quite profound.
Can you walk us through a couple of your core use cases at apoQlar?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say we have three core focus areas, or three main use cases currently in our current product state. The first and the biggest one is surgical planning. So we're enabling surgeons across the medical field spectrum. I think we're currently in about 13 different medical fields to convert their surgery planning processes into 3D by taking an MRI, a CT scan, an angio CT, so almost any DICOM image, and we transform this grayscale millimeter by millimeter layer into this 3D comprehensive model in space in front of you. So that's our first use case. Medical education is next. So we're ultimately enabling medical students, or the doctors of tomorrow, to go beyond textbooks. You and me, we grew up with normal textbooks. We watched the video on a computer screen, but the next generation of students will actually be able to interact with lifelike 3D and real patient data. And then the final bit, which is really fascinating, is what mixed reality with the HoloLens is really enabling, and that's medical collaboration like it hasn't been done before.
What is the fundamental or underlying problem that your company is looking to solve?
Yeah, so I would take two approaches here. I'd like to look at kind of the global scale first off, given our global orientation. Currently there are actually 5 billion people, so over half of the world's population currently has no access to safe surgery. There's a deficit of almost 140 million surgeries worldwide, and surgery plus 30 days post-operative care actually ranks as the third leading cause of death, which is actually more than malaria, HIV, and tuberculosis combined. And if we're kind of taking it now into the high income countries, the developed world, if you will, a lot of surgeries are still impacted by human error. So 1 in 20 procedures currently experiences an adverse event, and half of those are actually as a result of human error. Think of poor planning, poor communication, poor teamwork, poor execution. And so in the US, for example, each adverse event costs the hospital 20,000 in incremental costs. And in the US alone, there are about 400,000 preventable adverse events each year. And so the total financial or economic burden directly to the hospital systems in the US is around $8 billion. So it's a profound problem here and abroad.
Andreas, I really enjoy hearing about this. It's must be so gratifying for you to work for a company that's driving impact out in the world, and in in an area that applies to so many of us and impacts so many of us.
Yeah, Ingram Micro has been fantastic for us. We're very global in nature, and it's only growing. And so when we were deciding which route to go, we were definitely looking for a partner that is not just globally oriented, the brand name, but they also have core or key initiatives to drive technology forward. And so Ingram Micro really helps us scale globally, and they have a very technologically sound mindset. So it just blended perfectly with what we were looking for.
Ingram Micro is proud to be working with such an innovative partner, driving change and innovation in healthcare.